Kita tidak muna. Kalta
Sikia sauti ya maana. Asa yetu tu ameingia na ngoja mbodi ingie.
Hii ni jamaa sema ni. Ile fare no. Manish.
History to himself.
Okay.
If ninge change, okay. Mimi naweza kwa deform za driver msee.
Bwana, naona chingi tu si ati my drive.
Mwasukuma kitu vizuri msee.
Mercedes.
Fast universe.
Msaidia na kahawa.
Si huyu ni msee wazuri.
Nashinda msiko kwa game na ana kahawa.
Ni mgonjwa yeye. Nasema anaplay ngoma. Kuna model mwenye unajua.
Keep moving toward the radar station.
That machine gun's pinning us down.
Ana wengine wakiwatu vitu za.
Oi.
Bwana kwa hiyo fona tunasikia background.
Hii jamaa ilinyoa. Ndio drip inspector.
Ni jamaa. Paris. Wewe
13,000 RPM.
na
13,000 RPM kwa gari. Unajua kuna gari zingine zinafanya tu 1,000. Hizi zinafika 13,000.
Naweza kuwa serious. Hiyo yangu ni ya 60k.
Huyu sasa.
What up, big man? That's it?
Go to the cool class.
Oh, man.
Freddy Rada.
from Kashmir. Kwa TV.
Mada.
Number 9.
Oya. Hizi ni 62.
Good morning, students.
Good afternoon.
Nataka tunajua kwa na simu.
Unajua sasa mseme na drive ni mwenye kampuni.
Kampuni ya?
Unajua sasa kuna panga na different nini za staff. Haiko ataka Chromecast nini?
Kwa?
Uwezi Chromecast game. Uwezi Chromecast game.
So game hadi iko kwa Chrome.
Mimi nakubali.
Nenda usome.
Yator tulia.
Yator mal. Yator tunajua uko na
Ati washindiki guy. Lebona hizi speeds alafu nataka kusema alafu asema ati washindiki.
Hawashindi? Ona bado namba 9.
Lakini ngoja tu utaona.
My people.
Keep moving toward the radar station.
You mean into the bullets, right? All right.
Umemaliza?
Yator tulia bana.
Sasa
On a warm summer's eve, on a train bound for nowhere, met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep.
Hator bana, unapiga makelele.
At the window.
Just brother.
Ligani zaidi.
Ai, swali.
Kama nilikuwa nakwambia nini? Tumeweza kazi.
Dasha screen. Ngoja nisikie muda akiongea.
You don't want the too soft, yeah? No.
Kama haina kasoro wewe weka tu. Hadi nimekuumiza.
Kama ungenigonga mara ya kwanza ungekuchapa.
Shwe maranga.
MC Mikey. I'm on the ready.
Nani anaangalia status ya mama?
You're Johnny Mossing.
Come to know.
Seemed easier to score than this. Can't believe it, can he? Especially with Dan Burdu.
Sian, mbona unaweka simu screen chini?
Is there a teacher?
No, I don't think so.
Is there a teacher? Yeah, tour.
Trossard can get it across. Okay. Excellent stop from the goalkeeper. Gross.
Good afternoon. Hello. Felix nakuona, how are you? Utajuaje wanamsikia?
Si wanakusikiza.
Wanamsikiza.
Wao ndio wako muted.
Oh.
You should run the class.
Good afternoon, class. I'm so sorry. I'm late by almost an hour. I hope you can all hear me. Just signal, just show by the hand if you're able to hear me. How many can hear me? Those ones who can hear me, just wave.
Oh, they can hear you.
Okay, I hope you have all your books ready because today we are going, for the few remaining minutes, I want us to go through photograph work. Okay, I want us to go through photograph work. Okay, we begin by defining what a photograph is. This is what we've done before. It is just going through what we have covered before. We try and identify the parts of a photograph and, of course, interpretation of photographs.
Yes, you should go back to them. They are not allowed to talk to you. Yeah. So the system is
It doesn't make sense because yeah.
the system in your agenda, you should now lecture.
Okay. So we know we have covered a lot of topics in geography, and you know it is we are limited because we are not able to travel all over the world and study some of the topics that we learn in class. So that is why we end up using photographs to be able to study some of the topics, some of the features that we study in class. Like if I take an example of volcanicity as a topic, we learn about the features that result from the process itself. And now that we are not able to travel all the way to some of the locations where some of these features are found, we end up using photographs. Some of us, most of us go for, we go for picnics, we go out. And in the process, because we want to have memories of what we see out there, those ones who go for hiking, those ones who go for camping, in the process, we take a lot of pictures such that we are able to remember all the happenings. So in the process, we use cameras to take pictures, which we either store in various ways. We keep them in our phones, in the cameras, or we print them out. So that's all about photograph work. And when it comes to geography, there's a lot of information that we study and interpret from photographs. Both physical features and human activities, of course, can be studied in a photograph. So we want to start by identifying the types of photographs. I wish they could respond. The different types of photographs. We have the ground photographs and aerial photographs. Ground photographs are the ones that are taken from the ground level. And of course, depending on the position of, position one is at the ground level, we can either have the ground horizontals, we can have the ground obliques. Are we together?
Can't hear them.
No, sorry, I cannot hear them. So I'm saying we have two different types of photographs. We have photographs that are taken from the ground level, whereby we have the ground horizontals. We have photographs that can be taken from above, either by aircrafts, by hot balloons, and those are the ones that are referred to as the aerial photographs. So in maybe brief, all these photographs, the ones that are taken from the ground level, those ones that are taken from up above, mostly they are taken for a reason. Like, for example, if it is within a city, then one could be interested in studying the kind of, the urban setting. If it is taken from a rural setting, then maybe it could be agricultural activities that the interest is on, or even the settlement itself. So all these photographs, when it comes, particularly in geography, they are taken with a particular purpose. Studying all the human activities and all the physical features that we know about. As it has been mentioned before in the previous lessons, is that when it comes to interpreting a photograph, then of course we use the prior geographical knowledge that we know about a feature. Like, for example, you could be having a photograph. If you can remember some of the photographs we've done in class, you can have a photograph that is taken during a given time, season, having people carrying out various human activities. Like, for example, you can have a person picking tea, you can have somebody, farming taking place, dairy farming, beef farming taking place. So all those photographs, when it comes to interpreting them, then we use the knowledge that we know about agriculture, about if it is transport and communication, then you use all the knowledge, we have all the knowledge that we have prior to that particular photograph. So apart from studying the different, knowing that we have the ground horizontals, we have the ground obliques, that is having the two types, the grounds and the aerial photographs, it is also important to take note of the parts of the photograph, because the parts of a photograph are very important as they help us to be able to study and locate a given feature in a given photograph. So the photograph is divided into three. The parts, we divide it into three when it comes to interpreting the features, whereby we have the foreground, we have the middle ground, and we have the background. Of course, the foreground is what is closest, the person who is taking the image, and the background is the farthest point of that photograph. So when it comes to interpreting them, then you have to divide your photograph into three parts: the foreground, the middle, and the background. Then of course you give it the 9 squares. You also have the left, right, and center, so that you are able to get to locate it specifically where the feature is located on a photograph. Tuko pamoja? This is so theoretical, it doesn't even make sense. Okay. Let's move on to interpreting photographs. When we are interpreting photographs, we use the information provided on a photograph to be able to determine the title of the photograph. You come up with the title of the photograph depending on the activity that is going on in a given photograph. Like for example, as I said before, if you have a farmer picking tea, then the activity that is ongoing is what you use to come up with the title of that photograph. If it is transport and communication, maybe there's a train, there are buses, somebody pulling a cart, then that is the information you use to determine the title of that photograph. So mainly we determine the title of the photograph by using the features that are found in a given photograph. That is how you come up with the title. And I know you know that. We can estimate the time and season when the photograph was taken. And some of the clues that we use include the shadows, the kind of dressing. We can be able to tell the shadow was taken, the photograph was taken in the morning if the shadow is long enough. We can tell the photograph was taken at midday if the shadow is shorter. And we can also determine the season when the photograph was taken, depending on the kind of activities, the kind of clothing, the vegetation surrounding the photograph. So all those clues enable us to be able to tell when the time and season when the photograph was taken. And even the kind of housing can give us clues concerning the time and the season when the photograph is taken. We can estimate the direction also, if it is the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere. We can estimate this, the sizes of features. Examples that we've used before, for example, you can tell the size of a tree by the height of a person, a human being. For example, if the two happen to be put together in a given photograph. So that one, you use the prior knowledge that you have about the normal height of a human being. Then of course, you estimate it approximate height to that feature that is given. So in detail, I've said mostly it is human activities and physical features that we study in photographs. So some of the physical features include relief. Ukiangalia picha, you know, you can be able to, as times, you know, the hills, the mountains are provided, a flat landscape. You can be able to tell all these things from the kind of vegetation that grows there. And even the photograph itself, you've seen the photograph that has a mountain, has hills, has plains. So all those features can be able, all those physical features, you can be able to tell them using various clues. And as I've mentioned, mostly we use the knowledge that we've studied in geography about the various physical features that exist. And for example, if it is a tea plantation, we know that mostly tea plantations, we have them in highland areas. So those are some of the things that give us clues or tell us the kind of landscape, the kind of relief where the photograph was taken. You can be able to tell about drainage. We've done rivers. We've done various features on rivers, the oxbows, the meanders. You can be able to tell the river, the stage of a river, using some of the clues and applying the knowledge that you've studied prior to that. So you can either tell if it is the initial stage, that is the very young stage, the middle course of a river, and the very last course of a given river. I'm so sorry, most of these things, it is really theoretical. It needs to be more practical because this is a practical lesson. We will do better in the next session maybe, because this is so much theoretical. It needs to have a lot of practical bit when it comes to talking about photographs. We cannot just talk about photographs by word of mouth. We need to refer to some photographs so that we get to study these features. So I'm so sorry for today, but in the next lesson, we will work and improve on that. So all those physical features, relief, drainage, vegetation, climate, we use various clues to be able to tell the climate of a place. When it is a tea plantation, when it is a coffee plantation, then those are some of the clues that give us more details, more information about the climatic region of that place. When it is you see shrubs, for example, the cactus, they tell us about the climatic conditions of a place where the photograph was taken from. When you see forests, you know, they will, of course, forests grow in places that have a lot of rainfall. So that also gives us information about the kind of soil and the nature of the climate of that place. So all these things, we've done them in class just to remind you and go through them. And of course, after physical features, after talking about relief, drainage, vegetation, soils, and climate, we also have human activities. And of course, the human activities are so many, from transport and communication, from agriculture, settlement, urbanization, all those human activities. can also be represented in a photograph. Various kinds of settlement, it could be rural, it could be in urban areas. So all those can be represented in photographs. The last bit on photographs is the sketch. And of course, the sketch is more practical than theoretical, where you have to apply, you're given a photograph and you're supposed to sketch it. That requires you to be able to understand the parts of a photograph, the foreground, the middle ground, the background, and be able to locate all the features within the photograph. Those ones that are found at the right, those ones that are found at the center, those ones that are found at the left, so that when it comes to sketching, you're able to draw something that is almost similar to what is provided on a photograph. And of course, when it comes to sketching, we draw, artistic by using lines to represent the features. It really doesn't have to be the exact representation of what is provided on photograph, but by use of lines, you should be able to represent, if it is a house, if the animals, if it is a hill, a mountain, a homestead, they should be sketched following the dimensions and instructions that you are given back in Form 2 in class. So I don't know whether we can be able to Okay, in summary, let me just, I'm having issues with my connection. Bear with me for today, please. In summary, basically in photograph work, all you need to know as a learner is to be able, after you're provided, let's say, for example, you have a photograph at hand, what is important is for you to be able to interpret both physical and human activities that are provided. After studying and interpreting using all the clues that are provided, you should be able to make conclusions in terms of the physical features, in terms of the human activities that you see in a given photograph. If it is a photograph of dairy farming, for example, you have dairy cows, you have that kind of environment in a photograph, then you use the information, all the clues that are given in that photograph to be able to make interpretation and draw your conclusions from those, from the information that you derive from a given photograph. If there are human activities that are ongoing, I've mentioned some examples. You use a photograph to be able to interpret all those physical features. And when it comes to physical and human, when it comes to physical, you know, if we are provided with dairy cows, for example, if it is beef farming or dairy farming, there's a lot of information we can draw from such kind of a photograph. We can be able to tell about the climatic conditions. We can be able to tell about the vegetation. We can be able to tell about the relief of that particular region where the photograph was taken from. And as I've said, from the photograph, we should also be able to, from the clues that we see in a given photograph, they help us to be able to estimate the time and season when the photograph was taken. They help us to be able to estimate the sizes of features that are provided in a photograph. And of course, we draw many other conclusions from a particular one photograph that is given. For example, if you can remember the photographs you had in class, there was a boy, their cow, beef, you know, livestock farming there, had doing some work, tending to the cattle. And when you look around, the place is very dry, the grass is dry, the vegetation is dry, then, you know, there's a lot of information that you can draw or conclude from that kind of a photograph. And if you can remember another photograph that was provided in class, there were dairy cows, very healthy. You know, the place at times, when you're looking at the ground, it seems there's water on the ground. When you're looking at the vegetation around, very green, luxuriant kind of growth of vegetation around the place. So we draw a lot of conclusions from the photographs that are provided using the clues that we know that are present at that time in that photograph and the information that we have prior to that. Information, I've talked about a lot about information prior. Like, for example, if we have a drainage feature like a river or a swamp, taking an example of a river, for example, we can be able to tell the stage at which the photograph was taken. We know what happens at the early stage, at the very young stage of a river, at the middle, and at the lower. All those features that form along the river's course. So that is where we're saying you have to use the information that you have prior to that photograph to be able to make other conclusions. When you're studying human activities, as I've said, for example, the kind of farming that takes place. If you see tea farming taking place, if you see sisal farming taking place, sugarcane farming taking place, then because you know the conditions under which all these plants thrive in, you can be able to make conclusions from that. So I'm gonna stop there for now. We will have another session next week. And next week, things will be better than today. So I wish you all the best and please stay safe.